so now that you got your pattern downloaded and everything is cut out, it's time to cut out all your fabric, stabilizers, or any other parts that you're going to need for it. She does give you in the instructions a list of the material that you need to cut out. I generally will cut them all out and cross it off the list saying that I have it. We did all of our prep work. We went through all the parts. So we have our 2 hidden strap keepers for the gusset. You can go ahead and cut them down to 2 or 2 1/4. That's what I did. So those are finished. We have our adjustable strap finished. We have our piping finished. If you get the prep work done first, it just goes like a breeze. We went ahead and finished our zipper tab for the back. We went ahead and prepped all this stuff here for the top area with the bottom connector so that can be sewn onto the front. And now we have our strap loopers done. And my suggestion to that, you want to make sure that they're going to fit onto your flap strap. And each thickness of material is different, so you're going to put them on there and make sure that they fit, that it slides in and out real easily, but not too easily. So you have that ready to go. We have our flat panel ready to go. So now we're going to go ahead and start on the exterior back and front. So we're going to go ahead and start on the front. You can go ahead and put your bottom connector aside for now, because we won't do that until we have this assembled. So the first part's going to be your front panel center, which is going to be put here. You have your left side, you have your right side. To get started here, I'm going to go ahead and put my tape. So those are ready to go and prepped. And I'll be lining this up on the bottom up. It's going to be very important that this bottom piece lines up. You'll be cutting off the top, but your bottom needs to line up. So you need to make sure that this is square with this. Okay, that's finished and ready, prepped to go. Now I already marked where my zipper is going to go. She gives you the measurement in the instructions on where this needs to go. Zipper, with our zipper ends done, we have the back, bottom, and we also have our lining. So we're going to go ahead and tape this in place. If you're using a directional fabric, make sure you have it the right way on there. This is going to be sitting like this on this side, so when it's folded up, it'll look like this. So when you open the bag, you'll see this. So this will go sandwiched top of the zipper. This will go like this. Make sure your zipper pull is going to the left. We're going to go ahead and tape this in place. Line up your center. Now we're going to go ahead and sew the front. And we're going to go ahead and sew the zipper back. Okay, we're going to take this piece here, which is step 3, and we're going to sew from the bottom up. Now, as per instructions, she tells you to fold the centerpiece forward, away from it. This little roller, just to kind of give it a training session. Per instructions, she tells you to stitch 1/8 of an inch, making sure to back stitch before and after, or in the beginning and the end. And that's what that will look like, 1/8 of an inch. Now you're going to take your next piece and you're going to line it up on the bottom like this with tape. That's what I use, or you can use clips, whatever works for you. And you're going to sew this way back up again, 1/4 of an inch. You want to open it away from you. And once again, we're going to do as instructed. We're going to sew 1/8 of an inch. So this is your front panel completed for that part. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and start on the back panel with the zipper. We already done that with sandwich between the lining fabric. I'm going to go ahead and sew the 1/4 inch seam allowance there. So now we're going to go ahead and flip that open. All right, we're going to go back in the other room and we're going to prep the top and get it ready to go. Okay, so this is what the front looks like. the back looks like when we finish the zipper. Okay, per the instructions, we're going to flip this over. And she tells you to tape this to this. You can go to your sewing machine and tack this down at this point if you'd like to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and tape it on. And sew one time. Hello. Yes, I'm a little crazy. Go ahead and tape your bottom piece, or the bottom of your top piece. I'm going to find your center, so I know that it's on correctly. These aren't going to line up, so don't freak out, because remember this is at an angle. All right, we're going to go back over to the sewing machine. Okay, we're back over to the sewing machine, and we're working on the back top, sewing it on. Make sure that you flipped your pocket up. And we're going to be sewing a 1/4 inch seam allowance as per the instructions. And remember, these are not going to match because it's not designed that way. So go ahead and make sure you have your zipper put on, and you're going to sew yourself a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Being sure to stitch forward and back at the beginnings and the end. Okay, I'm going to stop and get the zipper out of the way. Okay, the next step is we're going to flip this open. And we're going to top stitch an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Go ahead and close the zipper up. Bring this forward. And you want to keep these the same. So if it's whatever length it is, you want to keep them the same. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and top stitch 1/8 of an inch as instructed by the pattern. We're going to go ahead and chew this up so we get rid of that little tabby area that doesn't belong there. You can just mark it and then cut it with the scissors, or you can use a rotary cutter. There. Now that's all chewed up. The one thing I did forget to do, because that happens, is we need to go back to the machine and sew down the sides here at what was allowed in the seam allowance. And then when we get done with that, we can go ahead and get ready to do the rest of it. So far, this is where we're at. You might want to give this a little press too. And this is the pocket on the inside. It's really pretty. And there we are in the back. We'll close it back up again. There we go. Try option B, which is going to be the magnetic snap. So per the instructions, you cut this out as measured. You're going to fold it in. You want to center this on here and then come down and mark your spot for your female magnetic snap. We're going to go in and sew this down. Okay, so now we're going to go to the main panel here, and we'll be sewing this. We're going to come down here and go back up and around. And again, per the instructions, it's 1/8 of an inch. Top stitch. We're going to get ready to prep this for sewing. So there's my pieces here and my pieces here. And we're going to run this across here. So I'm going to put this piece here in the corner, and I'm going to line it up with the corner over here where that little notch is. I'm going to lay it down flat, give it a little press. I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I have my little clip mark. And my other additional matching clip mark on the other side. And now this part here, we want to make sure we do not stretch this at all. So we'll do this in sections with tape. Okay, we're going to line up our middles. Right there. Just let it go where it wants to go. Don't force it. You got it where it's supposed to go. Don't stretch it. Go ahead and give it a little press with your fingers. You can just double check and run your fingers along there where you have your line marked, and you can see if it's feeling right. So there's the front. One more thing, when you go back to the sewing machine, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the magnetic clip things here so I know they don't move out of place. Now we're going to work on the back. It's going to be the exact same thing again. So here's the back, and here's the front. So we'll go ahead and go over to the sewing machine and get that sewn in place. Okay, so now we're back in here and we're gonna go ahead and put the accent pieces on. It's 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Went ahead and clipped everything into place so it doesn't get moved. Again, I'm using a number 5 stitch length, and as the instructions, it's 1/8 of an inch. This is what that looks like. And then we're going to repeat on the back. Now make sure when you do the back one that you move this pocket piece out of the way, because if you don't, you're going to end up having problems. So just hold it up out of the way. And then we're going to repeat on this side, being sure to remove this pocket out of the way. There you go. So we just finished putting the accent on here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut the back away as per the pattern. And she tells you to cut 1/4 inch away. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And that's what that will look like. And we're going to repeat that up here on the back top accent, the other side right here, and also repeat that on the front. Okay, so that's what this looks like. I am going to put stabilizer on the back of that one too, and like I said, we'll come back and put the magnetic snap in there when we're close to being finished. I'm not going to be putting handles on this version because the person that I'm possibly gifting this to doesn't like the top handles, so we're just going to be doing the hidden straps on the side. Okay, the next part of the video we're going to be doing is the flap strap, and you have different options on there. I'm doing option B. It's number 22 from the instructions. So we'll be doing the flap panel. You need to get the pattern piece out and cut that out on the fold. So the first thing you want to do is determine your center line, and go ahead and mark that because that's what you'll be folding it to. I always start in the middle and work my way back and forth. Now she gives you a measurement in the pattern to go ahead and measure and mark to. This is the back side. So once you have that line marked, you're going to be folding this piece here to that piece. You can either choose to clip it into place and then sew around it, or you can tape it or tape and clip. I will be going ahead and taping it, and I will be clipping it, and then I'll be sewing it together next in the video. And now we're going to go on to this strap, where she has you fold up to this line, which the measurement again is in the instructions. This is actually the inside. So the pretty side of this is here. So you want to start up here, stitch down, up and around. So you want to do a 1/8 of a stitch seam allowance on that. Top stitch, not seam allowance. On your ends, you always want to bring it back up halfway so you don't get skipped stitches. What we're going to do is a flat panel. Everything's marked. I put my stabilizer on the back, my rivets in there, and we're going to go ahead and place the magnetic snap mail in there. So we're going to go ahead and line that up. Make our marks for cutting. Okay, it's all in there where it belongs. We're going to put this over the top of that. Just make sure that it's secured real well. We're going to be closing this up, so you're not going to have to put anything behind it because it's already got 2 layers of stabilizer. We'll be gluing this closed. Okay, now we have our rivets in place. There's my strap keepers. battery died. To come back and do this again. All right, so on the strap keeper by the instructions, we're gonna go ahead and set this up. We're gonna go ahead and punch these in place. I'm gonna make them flat. And you're gonna flip it around. And you're gonna repeat the process. And you can test it to make sure your strap's going to go through there nicely, and it does. And you're going to repeat this on the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this together, and I'm going to go ahead and cover this and these little areas there. Okay, so now we're going to be sewing the flap strap, and we're going to be, this is unfolded back here, okay? And this is all glued together, and the male snap is on there. So we're going to be coming down, across, and up. You will be sewing this exactly how it is, and then when you get ready to attach it is when you'll be folding it over like this. Okay, so right now we're just going to sew it down on the front side. We're going to sew down, across, and up. It's 1/8 of an inch. Be mindful that your magnetic snap is on the back when you get to this point. I forgot. And that's what that looks like, all sewn together. And you need to be careful back here. I almost hit my magnetic snap on there. That is the male part on the back. All right, so now we're moving on to the back. Per the instructions, she gives you places you need to put this. And she also gives you a stitch line that you need to put this. It's all in the pattern. So we're going to go ahead and put this where it belongs, making sure it's centered and straight. Okay, that's where that goes. We're going to go and sew that on. Then she gives you another marking where you need to put this on that in the pattern. Then we're going to go ahead, while we're sewing, we're just going to put this right on here and sew the one at about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then come back with a 1/2 of an inch seam allowance, and then that'll be done. Now we're going to go ahead by the instructions with the measurement that she gave us, and we're going to go ahead and sew this on. I'm trying to make this close up so you can see it in case you're confused. She tells you to go from here to there for the marking, which is marked, and then you're going to mark into the 1/4 inch line where you're going to put the top over that. So let's go ahead and get this sewn on first. I put magnets on there to make sure that it doesn't move. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add the other piece to this. We'll be right back. Okay, so she gave us the measurements in there where we need to place this. When you place it down, go ahead and double check that you have the same amount on each side, from here to there and from here to there. Okay, that'll help you with your placement. I marked the center here, and the measurement she gave you, I have the center marked here and here, making sure that everything is straight the way it belongs. And then we're going to go ahead and sew 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. This is an important stitch, so take your time when sewing it. I think for me this was the most confusing part, so I just want to make sure that you get a close-up on what's going on. We're going to be sewing this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Be sure you can go ahead and back stitch on this, and I would not just back stitch on it, I would tie them off in the back. Okay, and take that off, and I'm going to tie them off in the back. You can put 2 rivets here to reinforce it, or you can go ahead and sew a line right here, which she gives in the pattern. If you were just using a thinner material like a lightweight vinyl or just cotton, then you could get by with just stitching it like she says in the pattern, but I'm going to go with 1/8 more because I want to make sure that that's going to stay where it belongs. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to pull the stitches to the back, put the rest of it together the way it belongs. So now we're going to work on the piping. Cut your strips as by instructions from the pattern. And I'm just going to show you briefly how I make my piping. This piping is less than 1/8 of an inch like she called for in the pattern. I'm using 1/4 of an inch double stick tape. And this is how I make my piping. Everybody has different methods. It's like making a strap. So you're just going to connect the middle about 3 or 4 inches. So you have an empty hull. Then I take my piping and I push it through here. And I bring it so that it's cut. I cut it the same as directed by the instructions. And so then it will look like this. Okay. So then I just take mine and I randomly go here because you don't want it twisting. So it's the same thing as when you're making straps. So you're just going to connect it every 2 or 3 inches and then come back and work it in. I'll show you close up here. And then I go back and I work it back and forth. I don't want anything twisting. So that's done now. And what I like to do is I just like to pull it back and forth a little bit to work that piping in, give it a natural curve. All right, we're going to get ready to do the piping. I have double stick tape on the back of here. Go ahead and start putting it in place. In her tutorial, she tells you to go down approximately 3/4 of an inch with your piping. So this will go up to the piping line here. And this is your piping cording here, the 3/4 of an inch. We'll come back and address that in a minute. So your marking line for your piping is right here. So when you go to mark that there, I'm going to cut that off. Make sure that it's on the line. Now what I do, because you need to bring it down 3/4 of an inch, just mark it 3/4 of an inch crossed with an erasable pencil. So just take the stitches out and your tape off, pull it down and snip it. Push it all back down. Let's make sure we have clips on here. Just go back and double check your placement. So now this is a part I think a lot of people might even get confused on as well. Everybody shows how to do this differently, okay? She shows you at this point where your 3/4 of an inch mark is to just slide it over to that mark like this, which we're gonna do. So you have on 3 little staples there. Go ahead and trim that off. And then you're gonna repeat the same thing on the back side. And what I do is I go ahead and I'm gonna base this all the way around. And then come back and I'm gonna make sure that everything's nice and clean for the gusset area. That's it. Okay, so we're getting ready to do the piping now. I'm tacking it in place at 1/8 of an inch. I don't need a piping put on for this. You do have staples in there, so be careful not to hit the staples with your blade, with your needle, your blade. And I'm just tacking this on at 1/8 of an inch. And then you're going to repeat the same thing on the back side. Okay, so now we're going to do the back of the bag, and we're going to go ahead and put the rivet placement here for the pieces. Really important, this piece here, this one only goes through here and here. It does not go all the way through the bag. We're going to start out, it's really going to be up to you where you want the reinforcement rivets. I'm choosing to put mine right here. They don't even have to be big rivets. You just want reinforcement. If you'd like to put big rivets in there, you can. I'm choosing not to. And this one, you want to make sure that you're going on this strap piece here and getting above here so you're not in your stitch line. So I'm going to go ahead and just punch that. Then you're going to make sure that you're lined up on here in the center. And then just make a temporary mark through here. You don't want to go through all the layers. You only want this to go through here and here. Do not go through here. So I got my temporary mark there. And once you get that center, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to punch that through also. And then put your back rivet on there. So this is what that looks like. This one and this one goes all the way through to the back side. So they go all the way through. I'm gonna have to go on my machine to make these punched in there, so I can't do it on camera. And this one here, I just want to stress it one more time. This one goes through here and here only. So when it's finished, this is what it's gonna look like. You're gonna see a rivet on the back side here, which goes through only this layer and this layer, not this layer. Then you're gonna have your two reinforcement rivets right there. I went ahead and added washers to the back of mine, but so now I'll go in there and just put a piece of stabilizer over this. Make sure you have your tape on the back of this. Now this piece is ready and prepped for the gusset. So if you want, you can go ahead and put this piece on now. And that's what the piece looks like. And that's what it looks like when it flaps over here. You go. All right, we're getting ready to do the gusset next. Okay, so now that we've finished our exterior of the bag, we're gonna go ahead and start on the gusset. You're gonna need your gusset bottom, your gusset middle, your gusset top, and your gusset stabilizer. And then your two D-ring connectors. On the gusset bottom, you should go ahead and have it already stabilized. I did add an extra piece of Paltex at 13 inches so I can give some stability to the bottom of the bag. So that'll be finished there. Now what we need to do to get started is we need to take our two gusset tops and join them to the two gusset middles. Go ahead and center them up. I already have tape on there for the video to speed it along. Okay, those two pieces are finished. And we're gonna take them into the other room and sew them at 1/4 inch. When we're finished with that, we're gonna take it over and put the stabilizer on the back of this. And then we're gonna go ahead and connect it to the gusset bottom. Okay, let's go get this started sewing. Okay, so we're gonna start on the gusset pieces, the top and the middle one. I'm gonna go ahead and make our 1/4 inch stitch line. It's 1/4 inch. And we're gonna back tack at the beginning and the end. Okay, and as instructed in the pattern, we're going to just flip this up and we're going to do 1/8 of an inch top stitch. And we're going to do the same on the second piece. Being sure to back stitch in the beginning and the end, 1/8 of an inch top stitch. Okay, we have both of these finished. Now I'm going to take them over to the ironing board and I'm going to go ahead and iron on the back piece of the stabilizer, and we'll be back to go ahead and sew it on the back of the gusset. Now that we have this sewn together, this is what it looks like. We have our top and our middle, and then we went ahead and put the stabilizer on the back. This is a line for a cutout for a hidden strap connector. I went ahead and cut this out because I will be edge coating the cut line so it looks more elegant. So the next step in the pattern is we're going to go ahead and connect this to the middle of the gusset. So I already have this one prepared, ready to go for the video. You're going to line up the middles. And there we go. And then we're going to go ahead and sew this at 1/4 inch. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put the bottom gusset to the middle gusset, sewing that together, flipping it open, and sewing a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. The construction stitch on this is 1/4 of an inch. Be sure to backstitch before in the beginning and the end. Okay, so we have this sewn together now, and as instructed by the instructions, we'll be going ahead and flipping this up, and you'll be bringing this down towards the bottom of the gusset. This is what it will look like on the top side. And you're going to repeat that on both sides, and then we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, so both of them are top stitched. That's what that looks like. And now we're going to go ahead and cut out for the hidden connectors and get them sewn together. Okay, so now that we have this together, we're going to go ahead and do the hidden connector placement. What I like to do is I go ahead and fold it on that line and go ahead and draw the line there, which I've already done ahead of time. Save time in the video. So you're going to draw the line there. You're going to find your centers. And then you're going to go ahead and mark 3/8 of an inch from each side from that center, because that's where you're going to cut it. And then you're going to turn it around and do the same thing. Locate your center line and go ahead and make sure it's centered here and centered there. Go ahead and mark it, and that's where you'll be cutting it. I like to use my metal ruler for cutting, just more efficient. Line that up. Make sure you don't go over. You're going to start at the one line and end at the other. Okay. Then you can go ahead and test it to make sure that your hidden connector fits in there properly. Should fit perfectly. You can turn it around on the back just to make sure it went in. So now the hidden connectors are both ready to go. I already did the other one to save time on the camera. And what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and edge coat this and clean it all off so that it just looks better, because right now you can just see this white mark right there, and I prefer it to be brown to match the rest of the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and edge coat that, let that dry, and then we're going to go ahead and sew this on the sewing machine. And I just want to make a quick explanation of that, okay? Here's my strap keeper for my hidden connectors. Mine are cut at 2 1/4. I cut them at 2 1/4 by 1 1/2. Folded them inward, which earlier in the video I showed you in the prep work. So now we have that done. I did not stabilize the inside of it because I wanted to keep this to show it to you. You're going to mark a line at 3/4 of an inch. Okay? Then you're going to go inside your little hole that you made for your strap keeper. And if you want to edge coat it, it just looks better. You're going to go ahead and put that in at that 3/4 of an inch mark, and that's where we're going to sew the 1/8 of an inch when we come back in the video. So I just wanted to explain it now away from the sewing machine, so I made sure it was very clear to you. So you're going to put it to that line where you marked. You're going to be sewing 1/8 of an inch. Do not go after the strap keeper or before the strap keeper. You only sew on the strap keeper. You're going to be going ahead and stitching it forward, coming to the corner here, but do not go off it, and then you're going to be coming back in and doing 2 back stitches, and that's it. And then we'll come back over here and assemble it together. Okay, so we're getting ready to go ahead and put the hidden connector into the slot back here. You're going to go ahead and you mark this at 3/4 inch, and you're going to line it up to this line right here, and go ahead and get your center lined up to the center here. and we're going to be sewing 1/8 of an inch across here, but we will not be going past the hidden strap connector. You need to stay on the hidden strap connector when you sew it. See, we don't want to go past the hidden strap connector. You want to go before it, right there. And then we're going to add back tack to the middle, being sure to secure your stitches. Okay. So we only stitched right here 1/8 of an inch on the above the connection for the hidden strap. So on the back you can see it's tacked down here, and it's also tacked down there. So if I move this, you see it's tacked into place, so it's not going anywhere. And when we get ready and we go back over and get this prepped, it'll tuck inside there with the D-ring right there. All right, let's do the other side. Repeat the same thing on the other side. And that's what that'll look like. That's the front, and there's the back. Okay, we're going to go back in the other room and put this together. Okay, so we're back over to the prep area. We're going to go ahead and put the D-ring on top of that, sliding it over the strap. So this is the next step. So you see this here. Then we're going to take this flap and tuck it into that hole. So you just get it in this little hole here. Once you get it through, you pull it from the back side. So see, we're in there. Now you're going to pull it through. That's what it will look like, and we're going to put a rivet in the middle there. This is the back side. You can tuck it in more if you'd like. It's really preference on what you like to have. And here's the front side again. Once you flip it over and you go to measure it, this is 5/8 of an inch from the top of my D-ring to that nubby. You can do it however it works for you. And this should be approximately 1/8 of an inch so that they match. So we have them together. They should be 5/8 of an inch from the top of the D-ring to the center of the V-notch on both of them. Now we're going to go ahead and find the center of these at approximately 1/8 of an inch down to 1/4 inch, whatever works for you. And we're going to go ahead and punch a hole in there, and we're going to go ahead and set it with a rivet. When we're finished with that, we're going to go ahead and put another piece of stabilizer over the back of this so that it stays stabilized. Now that you have it where you want it to be, we're going to go ahead and mark this here at 1/8 of an inch below that line. So that's where I want to put my rivet. And then you're going to go ahead and find the center. Now that we have both of them centered, I'm going to go ahead and punch out a hole. And then we're going to put a rivet in there. We're going to repeat that on both sides. Okay, so we got the rivet set, and went ahead and put stabilizer on the back of that. And everything is ready for assembly to go ahead and put the front to the gusset and then the gusset to the back. Okay, so we're getting ready to put the gusset together with the bag here. So from experimenting, this nubby needs to line up with this line to give it a nice look. So I use staples. That's going to be my first pieces. So I'm going to show you that again. This nubby needs to line up with the stitch line that we made here. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it's lined up nice and neat. And we'll show you again on this side. Okay. Then you want to go ahead and do your centerpiece. I'm trying not to put too many staples in there because I have to, of course, remove them. And we only have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so the problem with that is that you don't want to be hindering in the way of that. These are going to line up like this on the side here. So you're going to bring this piece up here to where your piping is. It's marked on the back side, which was actually on the pattern piece. And then you're going to go ahead and staple it here. It's going to be the same thing here. You want to bring this up just a little bit above it. And then you're going to bring it up here and staple that with the lighter staple gun. I'm going to do a basting stitch, but I will not be touching this area at all here from this line up. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. You don't have to have a staple gun to do this. I just find it's a lot easier. My dog's little toy is imitating everything I say. He thinks it's funny. It's like being married for 25 years and your husband likes you to repeat everything you say over and over again too. Okay, so we got that in place, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my basting stitch at the sewing machine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just baste this on place. I put my stitch length at 7 because this is a basting stitch. I will not be going before this line because that I want to make sure is really secured well, because that's what most of the time you can see in the bags when you fold it inside out. So I'll be starting here after that line, and this is only a basting stitch so that I can remove my staples and sew my 1/4 inch. And again, I'll be stopping right here before, it's about the same place the piping sits, because that is where I only want to have one stitch, and then I want to have a security stitch after that so that I can fold those seams out. Okay. All right, so this is what that looks like all the way around. See if I can do a sneak peek here for us. Same thing here. And then this is what it looks like on the other side. And here too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove those staples, and I'm going to switch out to my piping foot. Okay, so now that we've removed all the staples and we have the stay stitch in place, we're going to go ahead and do 1/4 inch construction stitch with the piping foot on. Make sure to stitch back and forth in the beginning and the end. Okay, so now we're getting ready to get on the piping with the piping foot. Just be mindful of your seam allowance. And take your time on the curves. You don't want puckers in there. Or broken needles from forcing it. Okay, so here's where we're at right now. We have the piping done on the front side. Just wanted to show you. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and turn it back inside out. I just wanted to show that to you. I went ahead and did my extra set of stitches along my seam line. Removed the rest of the staples and went ahead and trimmed down to 1/8 of an inch. So now we're going to go ahead and proceed to the back side. And it's basically going to be the same thing that we did to the front side, except you've got this one piecing this way constantly. So we're going to be doing the same thing. So here's our joining area there. Okay, so we got everything sewn up now, and I'm getting ready to unbag it or turn it inside out for the reveal. I went ahead and signed it, so whoever gets it, nobody will see it. It's just to have the signature. And I also went ahead and taped everything. Just to roll them back and forth in your fingers like this. If you apply a little bit of heat to it, then it will sit nicer. It's always so funny looking when you first pull it out from the piping. You gotta kind of just get it in there the way it belongs. All right, I'll hit it with the steam iron, clean it up a little bit, and I'll take some pictures and be back. Okay, so we're gonna start working on the lining main panel. I'm choosing to make mine all in one piece. So if you wanna get that same thing where you don't have a line in here sewn, what you're gonna do is take your normal pattern piece, which make sure if you're doing D or E, because there's 2 different choices. You're gonna take that and you're gonna take the seam allowance off of it. So you draw a line and fold it up to what the seam allowance would have been. And then you're gonna fold your fabric on the fold, and then you're just going to cut it out like this, and that's going to get rid of that bottom seam allowance. If not, you can choose to do it in 2 pieces, and then you would just cut out the piece the way it's called for in the pattern. So I'm deviating just a little bit off the pattern, and I have that folded down to where the seam allowance would have been, and I just cut it out like that, just so you know how to do it. So I marked my center on my lining, and this is where that's going to be, and then I marked where my zipper overlay is going to be and where my pocket's going to be, and I leave a little bit extra room from the bottom piece because things don't always necessarily sit in the bag the way they belong. Okay, so now we're going to start working on the zipper panel. This is the pattern piece for that, and there's instructions in there for the pattern pieces you need to cut out. You need to do the interior lining, and then you need to do the front of the zipper panel. We're going to go ahead and prep the zipper panel pieces so that they're ready to go. And as indicated in the pattern, she gives you the pattern piece with the lines that belong where they belong. So you're going to go ahead and measure that, and you're going to mark that on the back side of all 4 pieces. Once you get them all marked, you go ahead and tape them, and then remove the tape on all of them. Then you're going to go ahead and fold to the line that she's indicated in the pattern, and go ahead and do that in each one. Just one side. So once you have one side all done, you're going to turn one around, and you're going to fold it to that line, making sure it's nice and straight. I like to roll these down a little bit to make sure they stick. Then you're going to take the next pattern piece, because they all need to be the same. And then you're going to line that up. And then just double check to make sure they're the same. And those 2 are. These are your exterior ones. You're going to want to go ahead and mark the line indicated in the pattern that she gives you where you're going to line up your zipper. And you're going to do it while they're facing each other. So one is going to be the front side and one's going to be the back side. And that's going to be your line where you're going to line up your zipper. She gives you the measurements from Shamballa inside there for your zipper. Went ahead and marked it, and we're going to go ahead and make this first. This is how I make it. Everybody's probably different. This is what works for me. Then repeat on the other side. And put your zipper on there. You need to make sure that you go by the measurements that she's indicated in the pattern. So this is how the zipper will be sitting on there with the zipper sandwich. We're going to fold this downward. Put it where it's indicated in the pattern. We're going to go over to the sewing machine with the zipper put on, and we're going to sew the seam allowance indicated by the pattern. So that piece is ready to go. Now we're going to repeat the same thing on this side. All right, I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, we're going to do our 1/4 inch with our zipper panel. Make sure you have your zipper put on or some sort of foot to help you get close to the zipper. You want to make sure that you back stitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, so now that we got them sewn, we need to go ahead and flip these open. This is what I do. Just finger press it open. And do that to both sides of it. And then if you have a roller, you can go ahead and roll it as well. And then we're going to go ahead and top stitch 1/8 of an inch top stitch on top of there. Once I've top stitched, then I go ahead and fold these pieces down on the back and the front. I don't top stitch with the lining. And now we're going to go ahead on the sewing machine and we're going to stitch around and back up, and they'll be tied off in the back. Now we're going to stitch all the way around. You're going to leave your threads long so you can tie them off in the back. When you start out, and we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch around. And you're going to repeat the same thing on the next one. Okay, so I'm back and they're all put together. This is what the back looks like in the front. Now we're going to go ahead and put a zipper pull on there. There she is. Ready to go. Now that we have our zipper panels finished, we're going to go ahead and put the zipper panel to the interior lining. I went ahead and found the center and marked these so that they're going to be all lined up. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go in there with 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to base this in place. And then when we come back, we're going to get ready to go ahead and put on the top accent piece. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and sew the zipper panel in place, being sure to back stitch in the beginning and the end, and it's just going to be a stay stitch, so we're going to be stitching it around 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so the next part of the video, seeing we have the zipper panel finished and sewn on there, the basting stitch, we're going to be putting on the lining contrast band. So we're going to go ahead and tape up here. If you choose to tape or clip, it's up to you. And we're going to find the center and we're going to walk these across. I'm only going to show it on one side for the video, but you need to repeat this on both sides. All right, we're going to take this in another room and we're going to go ahead and sew a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're getting ready to sew this on at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I did go ahead and put my seam guide on there. That's from Barbara over at Relics Designs, along with my mini tabletop. So let's go ahead and get this sewn on. Be sure to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Now, as instructed to the patterns, we're going to go ahead and fold this piece downwards. And we're going to go ahead and sew an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance across the line here. 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Be sure to back stitch before and after. You're going to repeat that on the other side, so both your sides will now be finished, and we'll go back to the prep area and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so the next part we're going to do is a zipper placket, which I already have taped in place here and put on my marks where it needs to go. Always check to make sure that it's the same on each side when you're going to go ahead and put something like this together, because it's really easy to become off-centered. We'll take it over to the sewing machine and we're going to go sew all the way around the edge here, and then we'll continue on with the sewing machine to finish that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and sew 1/8 of an inch around the zipper overlay. I'll be pulling my threads to the back, so we will not be back stitching. We're going around only the outside of the zipper overlay. Okay, that is finished, and we're going to go ahead and pull the threads to the back, and we're going to go ahead and put the pocket that belongs over the top of this first. Okay, now we have our zipper overlay finished and sewn around, and before I cut this out to put the zipper in there, I'm going to go ahead and add this handy pocket or cell phone pocket, so it's easy access for somebody to use it to put their cell phone in. Just going to go ahead, and I have tape on the back of this. I'm going to go ahead and push it down. Now I'm going to be sewing down, across, and back up again. So it's right here. That's where my hole is going to be punched. And what I'll be doing is I'll be sewing across this line here, coming up, over, back down again, and across. So I'll take that over to the sewing machine. Okay, so this is now what the interior looks like. We have the pocket up here. We have the zipper overlay with another pocket for a cell phone. And now we're going to get ready on the last part of the interior is go ahead and put the zipper on the inside. Okay, to start out, we need to remove this material right here. I have it marked on the back where I need to cut it out for the zipper to be put in with the overlay. So I like to just start out with a seam ripper. So now we're going to go ahead and get the zipper placed in here on the back side of it. But you need to line it up, so I'm just giving you an example of what it's going to look like from the opposite side. Now, something I always forget to do, you're going to need to put your lining on there before you go and sew the stitch there. That's going to go centered on the back. So don't forget this, because I will not tell you how many times I've sewn my zipper and forgot to put this on there. Okay, I'll pull my threads to the back and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now that we pulled our threads to the back and tied them off, the next thing we're going to do is we want to bring this pocket towards the back and you want to finger press it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and put your zipper pull on. My zipper pull is already on. You're just going to slide it back in the way that it belongs on there so that you have this like this. This is what it will look like. Because now we're going to go up, over, and down when we sew. Now we're going to fold this pocket up to this line right here. We're going to line this line up, and we're going to keep this as straight as possible. And we're going to go ahead and fold this down. Okay, so this will be folded down like this. And we're going to take the tape and tape it right here. I already have tape on here. The first thing you want to do is line it up with your center line so that they're straight. And just be careful where your zipper pull is, because you're going to have to pull it up just a little bit there to make it flat. Okay, now we're going to go sew that. Now we're going to go ahead and sew around the zipper overlay, and we're going to go ahead and put our needle down in the position at 45-degree angle from the corner, which should be where you left off with the last threads. There will be no back stitching because, again, I'll be tying this off in the back. Take your time going over the zipper so you don't break a needle. And more than likely, you're going to probably have to put it into the position for the last place before you turn your corner. I always mark 45-degree angles And make sure you pull your needle up just a little bit. So when you turn, you're not going to be hindering yourself. As well, you don't want skip stitches. You're going to go about 8 stitches and then you'll pull the whole zipper forward. With your needle in the down position, go ahead and pull your zipper out of the way and go ahead and continue to finish stitching your overlay. On a lucky day, you'll end up in that corner. Once you get the needle where you want it, go ahead and bring your needle all the way down and then bring it back up halfway. Basically, you're additioning before you go ahead and put it all the way down. Then go ahead and pull your foot up and then go ahead and, as you're going down, make sure you're holding your overlay and be careful going over the zipper. And you'll have to go ahead and place your last placement as well. Bring that all the way down, bring your needle up, and go ahead and pull your project off the machine and go ahead and tie your threads in the back. One thing I learned in one of my leather classes that I was taking, you're going to go ahead and remove any tape on the back of your zipper if you have any left on there. You're going to bring your needle down next to this. You're going to fold everything forward and you're going to secure your zipper right there, because the probability chance of that breaking is going to happen. Zippers are not as strong, overlays are not as strong as you think they are, and people use their bags differently, and some people are rougher than others. Back tack this about 6 or 7 times, just over the zipper area. That'll keep it from breaking over time. And you're going to repeat that on both sides. When you repeat this on the zipper side, be sure to bring your zipper pull to the middle if you haven't already done that. Now we're going to go ahead and close up our pocket. And you're going to repeat this on the other side. Make sure you back tack in the beginning and the end. And I always like to run an extra set of stay stitches along it. Okay, you can go ahead and trim that down to about 1/8 of an inch from the first stitch. And then we're going to repeat that same thing on the other side. And now we have a functioning zipper pocket all closed up on side. Opens and closes, and now we go ahead and press out your interior, and then we can go ahead and get it ready to go ahead and sew it closed. Okay, so now we have the interior of the lining. Everything is finished. We have our zipper pocket, our cell phone pocket, and an extra pocket here on the side. Everything is pressed, ironed out, and all marks are removed from it. We're going to go ahead. The first thing I want to do, just to make sure nothing happens, is clip the zipper out of the way onto the zipper panel. So when we get ready to sew up the sides, it doesn't get stuck in there. I've had that happen to me before. Okay, so this is the interior that's going to be exposed, and this is the back side. We went ahead and got tape put on there ready to go, so when we're finished sewing the sides together, that we can go ahead and tape it down right away. I have my seam allowance marked. We're going to be going from 3/4 and then narrowing it down to 1/4 of an inch. And we'll be doing that on both sides of the bag. So now we're just going to go ahead and turn it inside right. Line up our square bottoms. And then line up our middle area here. And that's it. And I will be sewing both sides from the bottom up. And then I'll be flipping it over, and again, I'll be sewing it from the bottom up. It's always better you sew in the same direction in something like this. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and sew up the lining. Be sure that you set your stitch length to construction stitch. Mine is at 4. And we're going to back stitch in the beginning and the end. I do have my seam allowance set at 3/8 of an inch. And we will be going ahead and putting an extra set of stay stitches on here as well. And at this point, we'll start descending over to the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that's it. We'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, that's the end of that. Now we're going to go ahead and press open the seams and iron it out, and then we'll come back and do the box corners. Okay, so we've got the bag pressed out, and now we're getting ready to do the box corners. As in the seam allowance, it calls for 3/8 of an inch. I have my seam allowance guide set at 3/8 of an inch. And we're going to go ahead and back stitch in the beginning and the end. Okay, we can remove our staples and go ahead and cut that down. It's ready to go into the bag. And now we're going to repeat the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we have the box corners, then we can trim those off. And then the next step we're going to do is we're going to be folding, taking off this tape and folding down to your line. So we can go ahead and get this seated inside the bag, and we can get ready to go ahead and top stitch the bag closed. Okay, so we got the sides trimmed down. I did a stay stitch on the box corners, got them trimmed down. So now we're getting ready to start on folding down the bag. I'm just going to show you this briefly. You're going to go ahead, you have your tape up here, and you're going to go ahead and just fold it down to the line indicated in the pattern. And you do this all the way around. And that's it. We're going to go ahead and put this on the inside of the bag. And the next step we're going to do is top stitching the bag. Okay, so we got everything folded down and clipped together, ready to go to the sewing machine and sew. This is what that looks like. And the inside looks really good, which will press out more when we're finished. This is what the inside looks like. Okay, and just to make sure, while we're sewing, we need to make sure we get these out of the way so you don't accidentally over sew them, because when you're sewing this together, you need to make sure that you're not getting your recessed zipper in the way. So this is what works for me, because I'll be pushing that down inside the bag while I'm sewing it together. So you can just take your zipper pieces left over and put it there, because you're going to push this down while you're sewing around. And it's 1/8 of an inch, which is in the pattern. And yes, we're going to go over to the sewing machine and finally get this done. Okay, so I took my table off, and we're going to go ahead and sew this now. Hopefully I won't run into any issues. Sometimes it's not that easy. If you buy a cylinder arm, buy one that doesn't have this extra side table on it. It's really hard to sew the bags. I'm going to go ahead and push the recessed zipper out of the way. I have my stitch length set at 5.5. Just getting the recessed zipper out of the way. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull my other threads through the other side, so when I go to line these up that they match. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and spin this wheel here to get that last stitch in here and do it manually. I just want them to line up perfectly. And then I'll take these back out there and I'll show you how I tuck in my threads. Okay, so we got the exterior of the bag finished now and closed up. This is what your top stitching looks like on the bag. We got our little strings we're going to tuck in next. Turned out really nice. This is the back of the bag. Here's the front of the bag. This is what the side looks like finished. What we're gonna work on now are these threads. We need to tuck them in. We need to hide them and tuck them. And I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. We're gonna go ahead and pull the thread, this thread here, to the back side along with the other one. You're just gonna give this a little tug, and you're gonna see this thread come through on the other side. Right here. You're gonna get a needle and you're gonna pull that thread through. Make sure you don't snag it. Now, you take these two threads, make sure you pull it tight. Don't break it. You're gonna tie this into a double knot twice. Okay, you can set those aside. Now you take your other pair of threads and you're gonna go ahead and repeat the same thing. You're gonna pull them through and double tie them up. Don't pull too hard because you will break them. That's happened to me before and that's so disappointing when that happens. So we got both sets all tied up. Gonna take one set and thread that onto the needle. Okay, now it's threaded onto the needle. Make sure you have it pulled a little bit tight. And you're gonna go back into the same hole, pulled it out of. You're gonna pull that through until the knot goes to the other side. You'll hear it pop. So that one's done. And you're gonna take your other two threads and you're gonna repeat the same thing. Okay, get your threads to your needle, pull it tight, put a fingernail in there and bring it to the exact same hole again that you put the other one through. Keep pulling until you hear it pop. It's gonna be pulling the knot to the other side. Now you're gonna take these two threads and go ahead and double knot them as well. Or you can triple knot it. Give it a nice tug. And then go ahead and tie that off one more time. One triple, one double should be sufficient enough. And now they're tied together. Don't know if you can see that little knot in there. Okay, now you're going to take all four threads and get them through the needle. It's a little bit complicated. You have to be patient doing it, but you will get it through. So we have all four of them in here now, okay? You're going to go inside those two. Bring it in there. You'll see it's loose. Then you're going to bring it through here. You're going to find a stitch that already has a hole. Once you found your hole, you got it through there, you're going to take a pair of pliers and pull it through. Don't try pulling it through with your finger. You're just going to hurt yourself. You want to make sure they're not twisted at all. So you want to keep it on your finger. Then you're going to take your pliers. I got these off of Amazon. Now you got it through the hole. Bring it off the needle. Make sure this is straight. You want to make sure it's smooth going in there. Pull it down. And then again, you'll feel it pop. So see it's in there. You can't see it no more, but you can see it here, okay? And then you're just going to cut those threads off with a pair of scissors. And that's it. Work it back out so it's out of the bag, and that's how you have those tucked. And here is what it looks like again, closed up. There we go. I'm going to zoom out. And now you see nothing, and it's flawless. It's beautiful. You don't see threads, nothing. But the next thing we're going to do is put the zipper pull on, and that'll be the last part of the bag, and then we're going to work on the straps. So let's go ahead and just take one more look. It's just flawless. It's a beautiful bag. And this is a Shamballa bag, but she's a beautiful bag designer. And this is from the Zodiac Club from this year. And it's a Gemini Twins release. It was the last one from this club, but you can sign up from Shamballa Bags. There we go. It's ready to be going. Okay, the next part of the video, we're going to go ahead and put the zipper pull back on. So we're going to put our zipper stop on. I'm going to go ahead and burn the ends a little. What I like to do is cut it into a V notch so that I feel like I can get that to burn off a little. You can do it a different way if you like. You can put tape behind it as well. This way has just worked for me on all my bags and they don't come back off. Just want to burn that real good. So you want this to look nice. So you can clip it here like this with a clip. This will get you started in the right direction because then it just naturally folds in by itself. These are just little things that have helped me over the time trying to learn how to do zipper stops that look nice. Then you're gonna tuck it in nice. So it looks like this. And then we're gonna take our lighter and burn it. And then we're gonna press it in. Go ahead and snip off the sides. So there you go, that's an audition for what it's gonna look like. This is the back side. Then you're gonna take your zipper stop and you're just gonna nicely put it on there. And now we're just gonna go ahead and put a screw on there. And let's give it a test. I like to tug on it hard because I know some of those customers, they just get rough with their stuff. So there's the zipper stop finished. Okay, so now we're near the end of the video and we're gonna go ahead and make an adjustable shoulder strap. And this is what it's gonna look like when it's finished, but I just kind of like put it together a little bit and just give you an idea what's going on, okay? So let's go ahead and get this disconnected here. The first step I'll be doing is marking a line 3 inches. That's where I'm gonna fold it to. I'm gonna put my swivel connector on here to that fold line. I'm gonna go ahead and clip it in place. Then I'm gonna go ahead and go up 3/4 of an inch, and I'm gonna mark that and get this prepped and ready to go. Then we're gonna go ahead and fold back to that line, and then we're gonna go ahead and mark that. Okay, and that's gonna be ready for when we put this together. And we're gonna repeat the same thing on that side. I'm gonna mark 3 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and punch that out. I'm gonna go ahead and slide that back on. I'm gonna go ahead and go down to my line. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that rivet hole. I always take my rivet from the back to the front, so the ugly side to the pretty side. You're gonna take your connector and slide it on, going to the left side. Then you're gonna take your strap connector and the letter U, and you're gonna bring it up and down, then slide it all the way down as far as you want it to go. That looks good for me. I'm gonna take this swivel snap and I'm gonna slide it on. But before we go ahead and close it up, we're gonna put the decorative end on this side. Okay, those are tightened all the way. Looks good on there. Now we're gonna go ahead on the back side and put our rivet. And that strap is finished. Okay, and here's our bag we're gonna put it on. And that is finished. It's beautiful. Earlier in the video, I went ahead and put this on here. This is just a slider because I didn't have a buckle for it. So I'm leaving it how it is. Okay, so I want this decorative piece on here. So let's finish that off. It's the last part of the bag. There we go. She's finished. Beaut. Go ahead and stand it up. So it looks like from here. And there she is. Beautiful. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. We went ahead and made this beautiful Rachel bag by Shamballa. I've really enjoyed making this for you guys, and I hope that you would like to come back and watch more videos from me or have more tutorials. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up. Thank you.